Namaste. Hi there, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to my Friday Tarot Chat. And today I'm on a lot later than usual, but I've taken a little bit of time for myself today. And I'm here to share with you and talk about one of my favorite topics. Just going to get rid of that screen for now. There we go. So welcome to Friday, a beautiful Friday in the west coast of BC. And today we're going to talk about chakras. And the tarot tag that I'm wanting to get a conversation around is about matching tarot decks to the energy of healing. And the way that I work through all of my readings and everything that I do in all of the different modalities is through the mindset of healing on our journeys. And so I thought what I would do tonight is to share with you some of my thoughts on the medicines of each of the chakras and which decks I might work with if I were working with those energies. So I want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Some of you have been patiently waiting for a little while. I saw that Ij was here earlier on today, so I just want to say hi to Ij, and that's wonderful. Tomorrow you will watch this. Andrew, hello to you, and it'd be wonderful if you did this tag as well too. Hi Janine, welcome. Lovely Jen, hello. And let me scroll on down. Who else is here? Liz, hello, namaste, welcome. Michelle, hi there. Lovely to have you here this evening. Nancy, welcome to you as well too. Karen, hello, all the way over in Victoria. Nice to have you. Where are we at? Kaede, welcome. I forget what Kaede means. I used to have a Japanese friend with this name, and you have what looks like a Japanese first name and then not a Japanese last name. So you must have an interesting blend of culture in your home. I'm guessing, but I could be totally wrong. So let me know. I'm always curious about people's names, and I love language. Language is so close to my heart. Didi, namaste Didi, welcome. And to those of you that are in the background and haven't joined in the chat, welcome to this. Welcome to this evening of decks and chakras. And I apologize for the delay. I was just running around pulling out a few more decks. And one of the things I want to say, and I also went and grabbed some oracles as well too. And this particular tarot challenge is not about oracle decks, but I know that always comes up, and some people like to weave together the energy of oracles and tarot, which I love to do. Kaede means maple leaf. Oh, really? That's beautiful. And hello, welcome. You are newish, quietly following along for a while now. Well, welcome, and thank you very much for. I believe you joined the channel as well too, so thank you so much. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready for this? Now, I also want to, you're from Malaysia. Okay. Kaede is from Malaysia, not I. I don't know where I is from, so you can let me know where you're from as well too. And if you have another name that you would like to be called by, I have a list. I have my little book here that I write people's names down, and I try to remember people's names if they don't want to be called by their channel names. Okay. So what I want to say is that you may have received different teachings about the chakras. You may have different things that you have learned. And what I am sharing with you here is through the yogic path, through the teachings that I have learned, as well as just my experience with working with clients through the physical asana practice, meditation practices, more of a life coaching approach to tarot and so forth. And if there is anything that I say tonight that doesn't sit right with you, please just let it wash off you. And if there's a conversation that you want to open up, I am completely open to any conversations. So this is just the beginning of something that I have been wanting to explore for a long time, which is going to lead into a course in January, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later. New York. Wonderful. Welcome from New York. Not yet, Andrew. Not yet. It's still in a notebook. Yeah. And some of you are in a spreadsheet because you've taken classes with me. But many of you are in this back of this little notebook, this list that I keep. So yeah. And for those of you that don't know the inside joke, I love lists and I love using Excel, and I have an abundance of lists on Excel. Okay. Muladhara chakra. So the root chakra. So we're going to start down at the bottom. And what I'm not going to do tonight is I'm going to try to keep the teaching to a minimum and just talk about the frequency energy of the chakra, and then how I might work or how I might choose a deck for this medicine. So when we're working with the Muladhara, the root chakra, we are connecting to primal energy. We're connecting to, and I use the word tribe not in a Native North American sense, not in an Aboriginal sense, but one's tribe, because the word you can use the word family as well too, but the place and the people where you feel that you belong. You could also use the word home. So a deck that is connected with Muladhara chakra is going to make you feel at home. It's also going to bring up the struggles and the relationship issues that you have with going home, and that the journey of being separate from home and belonging at home. There's the whole sense of belonging is a part of this, as well as survival and safety. And some of you might want to take this particular deck into a deck that makes you feel grounded and anchored. There's a lot of different directions we could go with the healing of Muladhara chakra, but the basic element here is one to do with family or tribe or home, and the comfort and the safety at home. So this deck, if you're working with yourself, would be one that makes you feel at home. It makes you feel safe. And I have lots and lots of suggestions today, and I'm going to try to keep it to a maximum of 3. The challenge is just to match one deck per chakra. And because I may be sharing more than one tarot deck per chakra, I may or may not get to oracles. But if you want to do this challenge, you're more than welcome to add oracles. One of the first decks that I started to work with was the Robin Wood Tarot. And it's going to be hard to keep focus here. And this might be a really long one today. So I suggest that if you don't have a beverage, you go get a beverage and you just, go and come as you want. And because these are really, really good questions. 10 of Pentacles energy. So yes, there's definitely an ancestral connection, but there's also an ancestral connection in the Swadhisthana chakra as well too. And I suppose I can talk about the subtle differences between those two energies. Okay, so let's go to here. And I'm going to move these out of the viewfinder. Oh my goodness, I have a lot of decks on the table. When I started to study the tarot, I had a difficult time with the centennial or the plaid backs. And I was looking for a tarot deck that felt a little more comfortable. And when I pick up the Robin Wood Tarot, it reminds me of the deck that big exhale when I found this deck. This was the deck that was, okay, yes, I can do this, and I can study the tarot, and it doesn't, there was something about about Pixie's art that just wasn't comfortable for me. And this was one of the first decks that gave me that sense of comfort. And I have to say something very, perhaps surprising. It was the sword court cards that did something for me. And I don't know. It just felt really honest. There is some nudity in this deck. It is a Wiccan based deck. And another reason that this deck makes me feel like home is that in Robin's extended guidebook, oh, I love the plaid on this one, is that she talks about her journey in Okinawa. And I also had, I'm going to say, some profound experiences in Japan. I lived in Japan for the first time for 3 years and went back several times. And those first 3 years in Japan were highly transformational. And I really connected with Robin through just the introduction to her book. It made, and this card has always been a very, very special card for me. So a deck that is going to help you with healing the root chakra, healing the energies of home, the medicine of home, is going to make you feel safe. It's going to make you feel like you've been there before, or you know something about these people. There's something, there's an energetic draw. Now, I have another one that I'm going to share with you. Hi there, Anna. Namaste. Welcome. Okay, so this is going to feel really odd, but I want to show you this one because this is Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And this deck makes me feel so safe, so grounded. The energy of this deck is abundantly comfortable. And while this is a Fae deck, and I'm going to say in this lifetime, I am neither I'm not any kind of a Fae, this deck brings me home. And so when you're choosing a Muladhara chakra deck, this is the feeling that you want to have. Okay. I just want to go back up to Liz made a comment. Oh my goodness, there are so many comments. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this one. It would be interesting organizing tarot cards into 7 chakra categories. Yes. And I think that is one of the things that we're going to do in the course in January. Because it's important to understand the chakras through the whole of the deck. Yeah. Okay. Coffee in hand, yes. And the chakra healing deck. Somebody asked about another chakra deck, if I was working with it. And Andrew said root would be future ancestor, primordial, and wildwood. Okay. Sacred Bee. That's the comment that I was looking at. And I am going to bring in Sacred Bee later, even though I do not have it in hand. It's a very powerful deck. So when you're working with Muladhara chakra energy, those are the kind of feelings that, I want to say one more thing, that are going to make you know that this deck is your home. And so that is very, very personal. I used the word tribe earlier. One of the issues in the tarot world is to find a deck that makes you feel represented. And so there are several decks, I'm going to say, that include a more diverse, that have more diversity. And you might choose one of these decks that has more diversity. So for me, it's not this one, but that's a part of the Muladhara chakra. Perhaps a deck like the Numinous Tarot, or the one of the African tarots, or a deck that, another one on my table that I brought out today is the Hoodoo, but I'm going to talk about the Hoodoo in another chakra. This is a very cool deck that is in the box right now. And one of the things about this deck is that there is great representation among many, many indigenous groups. It's not just a black deck. The Coolie, there's a Coolie card in here that I thought was really interesting. So that's what a Muladhara chakra deck is. It's one that makes you feel like you're in the right place. You know, you feel represented, you feel heard, you feel like you belong. And it's also going to stir up issues with moving in and out of home, moving in and out of your tribe, right? There's going to be some discomfort there as well too. All right, so let's go on to the second chakra. And I've also put a short description of the prompts a short description of the prompts in the description box below if you want to do this tag. The second one, Swadhisthana chakra, is the element of water. This is where our karmic patterns are going to come through. This is such a challenging chakra. This is, in the tarot, this is the home of the devil. This is the home of the devil, where we work with our compulsions and addictions, our choices in life, where we learn and play with the fine line between living in joy and living in excess. And so in the Swadhisthana chakra, the second chakra, we have a lot of relationship issues that have to do with likes and dislikes. And another part of that is to examine our repulsions, the things that make us feel truly repulsed. This work is deep and it's dark, and it can be very, it's something that a lot of people can't do on their own. Some people call this shadow work. And so if you have a deck that you associate with shadows, this would be a good deck to work with the sacral chakra. This is also the home of the divine feminine. And in the energy of the divine feminine, and if you are healing issues with the divine feminine, this is also where you want to be working with. So you could be working with a goddess tarot, or a deck that feels immensely feminine. I'm looking at the field tarot right here, you know, so there might be a deck that feels that you are healing your relationship with the divine feminine. Maybe there's a very watery or a moon deck as well too. But where I want to share with you is in healing the Swadhisthana chakra, the second chakra, and these issues of, I have the right to live in joy, but also inviting balance into life here. So that's why relationship plays into this chakra so much. So there's a lot of different ways I could go with tarot decks. And Andrew says, Prisma Visions, Dust to Onyx, Margaret Peterson, very interesting. Okay, I'm going a little bit different direction. So I brought out the Hoodoo Tarot. And so, Andrew, you talked about ancestor work. So this is also, because we're in karmic patterns, this is also where the DNA comes through. And so if there are family patterns, if there are, maybe there's patterns of addiction or other patterns that come through the family, these ancestral links might come in here. And so when I am looking at the Hoodoo Tarot and some of the root workers in this deck, it hits a chord with me. And I feel connected perhaps to a past life. Perhaps it's really hard to say, but I feel that while in this lifetime I am obviously white, I'm a white heterosexual soul who identifies as female, it might not look like this is a deck for me, but there's something about the energy of these root workers that I find personally challenging. And so this kind of deck speaks to me more than something like, I know a lot of people when they're doing shadow work want to work with a deck like the Deviant Moon Tarot. So this one for me doesn't quite hit that mark, but something like that might work for you because we are working with the energy of the moon. What else do I have here? I have a few different ones. Another deck that has been deeply powerful in working through patterns and allowing the karmas the samskaras to come to the surface is Tarot of the She. So Tarot of the She, it unnerves me. We also have a lot of moons and water. The suit of water in this deck is the suit of dancers, and there's something about that. A long time back, somebody asked me if you could be living in your highest, what would you be? One of the words that came through was grace, but I've been working on this thought for some years, and that has to do with flow and energy. And there's something about the flow of this deck, and I love the challenging cards. One of the 10, where the Ajna chakra is being pierced, like the Dreamer 9. Like this is dark stuff. This is shadowy stuff. And I love working with this deck. This is the one I'm talking about, the 10 of Swords, where the third eye is being pierced. And this is, I mean, I can also talk about this deck in terms of other chakras as well too. But there's something very very shadowy about the Tarot of the She. And it's not a deck that scares me in any way. It's a deck that I know is going to help me do my work. So that is one. I have another, okay, I'm going to go, let's put Tarot of the She here. I have 2 racks on my table today, so hopefully this will go smooth, smooth, smooth. All right, so Tildwick came into my life with the 2nd edition not too long ago. Now, how in the world does this deck, why would I say this deck is a 2nd chakra deck? Because for me, there is, I'm going to go this way, just hold it for you. There's hidden messages here. And there's a lot of unknown energy. The fact that this deck is within the walls of a house and outside in the garden, it's connected to family and DNA and karma. I did purchase the movie that was recommended. So when I did my walkthrough of the Tildwick Tarot, there was a movie that was recommended. It's sitting over there in the kitchen, I'm sorry, and I haven't watched it yet. It's an old black and white movie that kind of looks like the Tildwick Tarot. But there's something about the karmas that seem to come through with this deck. Okay. Oh, that would be so amazing to work with you, Liz. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I hope this makes sense. And I know that some of these associations that I'm bringing out may be unfamiliar, but part of my job here is to challenge your perception of the potential healing of each of the chakras. Okay. So here, like I said, we are observing pleasure and pain, repulsions, addictions. This is the home of the devil. Okay, good. So now we're going to go on to the solar plexus chakra. And for me, this is one of the hardest chakras to find a deck that, but I'm going to describe to you the energy of Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra. The energy of Manipura is I think I wrote self-worth down below. This deck makes you want to be a better person. This deck fires you up. It enlivens you and it gets you going, and it can take you out of the darkness and into the sunshine. So I love my tarot collection of hundreds of decks, and there are many decks that light my fire. You know, there's some that just they give me courage. So if you think of solar plexus and you think of the strength card, you think of that inner, what's that word that Richard Rudd uses? I'm not him. I'm thinking your iRest guy. Your inner resource. I love that expression. Your inner resource. And my inner resource, Tarot of the She also is an inner resource for me. Another deck that, is very close to my heart is the Wild Unknown Tarot. And and this is another reason that I'm coloring my mass market version, is because I feel like I still have so much to learn and different places to grow with this deck. This deck gives me, it does. It gives me strength, and it makes me sound so corny. It makes me want to be a better person. And I think it makes me feel more connected. Now in Manipura chakra, so in the solar plexus, on one side, we have a lot of ego connected to the right side of the body. And then on the other side in Manipura, we move into a place of trust. So this is part of the attraction with this deck, is that I know that it's based in somebody who understands the teachings of yoga. And so working with this deck also has that component. The first three chakras are loaded. They're just loaded with issues. Manipura chakra, it ignites your inner strength. Okay. And when we are transitioning from a place of ego to a place of trust, there is that lesson of letting go. And this might be the deck that helped you to let go. So that is some other words that might help you choose your Manipura chakra deck. Now, in Manipura chakra, we're also dealing with excessive and so an absence of fire and an excessiveness of fire. And your deck just might be one that helps you to balance any of the more challenging issues related to that. So the scope of Manipura is so huge. So if you've got anger on one side, you've got depression on the other. And this is not an easy deck to choose at all. And I think this is a lot more complex than just choosing a deck with lots of pretty orange colors or yellow colors. Okay, so I think if you focus on this makes you feel stronger. Now, I haven't shared any oracles with you, but I just want to, this is Personal Power Oracle by Deja Osborne. And if there was a Manipura chakra oracle deck that speaks to some of these things, I'm going to show you some of these cards in case you don't know this deck. So I am lovable. And these are very feminine. I am beautiful. I am determined. There's so much beauty in this deck. I am unbreakable. I am celebrated. I am happy. I am fearless. So this is also the chakra of your inner warrior. This is where you stand in your own strength. This is the place where you claim your inner hero. There's just something about this card I love. I'm going to leave this deck out. I haven't had this deck out in a little while. Yeah. Do any of you work with this deck? I have another one of Deja Osborne. So her website is Deja Drew It, but I believe her name is Deja Osborne. So yeah, so this is the energy, and I see that Andrew mentioned Vision Quest. Yes, so Vision Quest Tarot has a lot of magic medicine in it. And I think with Vision Quest, you can work with several different chakras, for sure. This is Vision Quest Tarot. And this deck is deeply connected to energy medicine. I purchased this deck. I saw it actually on the altar when I was doing shamanic training. And so you do get a real sense of power with this deck. It is a Thoth-based Pippish deck. And I'm going to talk about this deck in terms of another chakra, but for sure this deck could be associated with Manipura chakra, without a doubt. And this, for the different energies, the different associations with the 4 directions, this deck is right in alignment with what I work with. So it's very easy for me to pick up Vision Quest Tarot. Michelle, you like it as well too. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. Okay, so those are the lower 3 chakras. And then we go to this heart space, right? The place, the energetic heart space behind the sternum. The place that is the union of the upper 3 chakras and the lower 3 chakras. So when we talk about love in this chakra, this is not to do with anything sexual. You know, if you're going to have a deck that makes you feel sexual, that's more of a second chakra deck. This is a higher frequency of love. This is integrated love, unconditional love for all beings, unconditional love for all things. This is the place of beauty, and not physical beauty, but that if you were in my Facebook group, the oracle card for this week. This is the oracle card for this week. The archetype agape or agape, and that this is where we've perhaps, I mean, there's different places we can enter into our connection with the divine. There is something about this space and that shape, that hexagram shape, the Star of David, and also in the 3-dimensional form, the Merkaba. And it's through the magic of the potential to transport into another dimension that we can go in through the heart space. So we're working with the energy of unconditional love, gratitude, beauty, deep, deep connection, devotion. I think devotion is a beautiful word here. So if there's a deck that makes you feel that way, this is Anahata chakra. Anahata means unstruck sound. This element here is air. So this can sometimes be a little confusing when we're working with tarot decks. It is not the element of water. What element of water is in the 2nd chakra? Gratitude in all things. So it should be, and if I don't have it out here, this is going to be hilarious. I'm just looking around and I don't even think it's on my table. That's so funny. Okay, it's not even on my table because it's in my, oh no, it is on my table. So we're talking about the element of air. And in the Lily White Tarot, Celia Malesville does this incredible thing with the element of air. And for me, this is a deck of beauty. It is a deck of gratitude. It is a deck of unconditional love. I mean, just look at that Queen of Cups. Look at the unconditional love in this Hermit card. It's truly, truly extraordinary. This is the Page of Cups. This is an amazing card. This is the nesting bowls, right, of the 6 of Cups. And the 6s in this deck are very, very special. This is one of them. And so the number 6 is in that the 6 is a 3 + 3. So the 6 is connected to the heart chakra as well too. Okay. Majestic Earth Tarot is beautiful. It is one of those decks that's sitting for me in the US in my box. This is the Temperance card. Now, in this particular category is where I think I would put the Sacred Bee. The Sacred Bee, I eventually will have both editions, or two editions. I don't know how many are available. I've ordered the Oracle deck, and so the 2nd edition and the Oracle deck will ship to Canada. The 1st edition is sitting at my box in the US. And if you don't know this story, I'm not going to repeat it. Anyway, when I saw this deck, it just tugged at my heart. I knew this was going to be a very important deck in my life, and I can't wait to have this this deck arrive. So yeah, let me look at this Two of Wands. This is such a beautiful deck. So this is where I would put Sacred Bee. Yeah. Interestingly, in the teachings of yoga, bees are connected with fertility. And what I might do if I was working with somebody with fertility issues is to use the Sacred Bee Tarot and do a second chakra spread. And so part of this conversation and part of what we're going to do in the class is to understand the reasons why a deck might move from one chakra to another chakra, and how we might and how to do that, and also how to bring in connections and so forth. Okay. So for those of you that aren't aware, I have a website called Integrative Healing with Sadhana.com. And in that particular website, there is a button called Shop. And you have to go down just a little bit and click on the shop under the shop, and that will take you into all of my courses. And it's there that you can sign up for tarot through the chakras. You can sign up for other courses as well too. And the next course that is on the calendar starts at the end of this month. And Read With Me 1 is a class where we look at each week is divided by question. So the first week we look at the question what. We do what, who, when, where, and when. And we also look at yes and no questions as well too. So the course is formatted into strategies for answering questions based on that first word of the question. It's a really good class. I've taught it many times, and I've had tremendous feedback. So if you're kind of testing out whether or not you'd like to work with me and invest in a larger course, you could sign up for one of these, Read With Me 1 or Read With Me 2, which are both coming up very soon. Okay, let's go back. So we were at Anahata Chakra. Interesting. So Anahata Chakra, when I was thinking about oracle decks for the heart chakra, this is the one that came to mind. This has been a favorite deck since the day I cracked this deck open. And I don't know if it is the beauty of the art. This could also, I mean, this deck would work in many, many chakras, but there's something about I don't know, I feel so much love for this deck. And when I'm looking at, so this is a very second chakra kind of card, pleasure and pain. And this card also deals with all of the chakras, this deck, sorry. Look at the heart. I've had people actually cry when this card comes out during a reading. Or this chai card. I think this is my favorite card in the whole deck. So yeah, connected and free. I don't even know if it's available right now, or what version is available, but it's beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let's go on to Vishuddhi chakra, the throat chakra. Roots and wings oracle, I'm going to put at throat chakra. Yes. So Vishuddhi chakra. So throat. So think about all that is connected to the throat, right? We have the voice, we have the ears. So we're dealing with sound, and everything that is connected, right? So usually ears and throat we're talking about. So Vishuddhi, and also if you have issues with thyroid or parathyroid, this is your chakra. This is the chakra of secrets and lies, half-truths. This is where we find our authentic voice. So ideally, this deck is going to either be brutally honest, or it's going to help you to find your truth. It's going to help you to speak your truth. And sometimes this deck is one that you fear picking up because you know it's going to tell you exactly what you need to know. And it's going to give you the voice to be a lot clearer about what it is you want to say. It's not going to hide anything. It's going to allow the throat to be purified. So again, this is a challenging chakra. In the mandala for the throat chakra, we also have a moon as well too. There is a relationship. Now, part of what we're going to study in the class is the relationships, but Vishuddhi chakra, the throat chakra, is deeply interconnected with the second chakra. So all of those issues that live with the pain and pleasure, and guilt is another one. Guilt lives in the second chakra, is often mirrored in the throat. And so what we can do with the spread, what we can do with the healing is look at these two chakras simultaneously. And I've actually developed yoga nidras for this. So we're focusing on second and fifth chakra at the same time to help to release second chakra issues through the voice. It's so powerful and so beautiful. And so I have a bunch of different decks that do that for me. There is, so if you like to play with language and you understand the, I don't know, there's something about the cleverness, I want to say, of the and this is just one Alice Tarot. This is Dame Darcy's. It could be any Alice Tarot. There's something about the cleverness of the language, and also through the looking glass, when Alice goes from a three-dimensional world into another dimension, the fifth chakra the fifth chakra is where we are birthed into the fifth dimension. So it has a portal quality to it. And so this is one of the reasons that this deck speaks so well to the fifth chakra. And I believe in several of the Alice decks, the Jabberwocky is featured on the Page of Swords. I believe. I think it is in this one. And so if you know anything about the story, about the poem, the Jabberwocky is a nonsense poem. It's full of made-up words, and it's quite difficult to read. You have to figure out the pronunciation of the made-up words. I'm just trying to find the Page of Swords. Where is it? And I believe it's also the Page of Swords in the Baba Studios deck as well, too. So where I'm going with this is that, so here's the Page of Swords. And this was an aha moment I had when I did 2 videos on this deck. What does it mean to slay the Jabberwocky? And when I figured this out, it was like, wow. Wow. You know, to slay one's Jabberwocky means to finally cut through the mask of the voice, the falseness of the voice, the aspect of yourself that, shifts gears when you go from one place to another, and you aren't authentic because you're pretending to be something that you're not. And so I find that Alice tarots work really well with this particular chakra. How many beings does Alice meet in her journey? Do each of them reflect a chakra? Whoa, that's a big question, Mr. Andrew. Yes, I believe they each represent a different chakra for sure. I haven't looked at the tarot that way, but I would say for sure that is that would be so much fun. That would be a really, really good video. There's something about the Thoth tarot that doesn't let you get away with much. And I feel if you work with this deck and you're working to clear and heal the throat chakra, this could be a really, really powerful deck to work with. So this is one. Now, if you don't work with the Thoth, and Alice is not your thing, I'm going to say one of my first, I'm just trying to find it here. Where is it? Many, many decks on the table. This is also another big chakra. So I've got a few different things I want to share with you here. So 2nd and 5th chakra are huge, 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 huge. So Stacia Burrington's deck. This one, Sahasrara, has always told the truth for me. And it is, it's one that, I don't know, I feel, and the famous cards in this deck, the 8 of Swords or the 8 of Cups and the 6 of Swords, those cards, they're like wow cards for people when they see them. They really, really are. 8 of Cups, these cards, this deck cuts to the truth pretty quickly. So yeah, that's what Vishuddhi chakra does. It helps us to find our voice. And maybe your voice needs to be more playful, and the pages in this deck are really lovely, lovely. Andrew asked, Illuminated Earth Oracle would be a good throat chakra deck for me too. Okay. And I have just, this deck is new to my collection and I have just received it. So I really haven't started working with it yet, but I am really, really impressed with Illuminated Earth. I think it's more beautiful in person than it is on the website. All right. So we're looking for authenticity of voice. The element is ether. And another oracle deck would be Oracle of Echoes, because Oracle of Echoes does not hide in any way, and it will tell you your truth. And if you don't, sometimes when you're doing a reading for somebody, have you ever had this experience where somebody asks a question and your immediate response is, do you really want to know the answer to that question? And then what happens is you have this conversation. And oftentimes, sometimes they do, but oftentimes it's like, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. When the questions get really, really tough, it takes a little bit of, I think, experience in choosing an appropriate deck. And you may want to choose one that's a little softer if you feel the client is not ready for the hard, honest truth. You were wondering. Yes, beautiful, beautiful cup cards. Beautiful. Okay, anything else? Oracle of Echoes, Roots, and Wings. Vishuddhi Chakra. I have other suggestions too. So if you like the Bone Stone Tarot, Bone Stone there's cards of initiation. There are cards that really do cut to harsh truths and realities, and also there's a lot of it's a many layered deck, so that's one that might work for the throat as well too. But I don't want to give you too many others because I'm hoping you'll do a response to this. But I want to give you some examples in case some of you are stuck on what you might want to choose for the chakra. Okay, so now we're going to go to Ajna Chakra, third eye chakra. Third eye chakra is the big picture. The reason that we exercise and work the third eye chakra is so that when we are working with the muddy issues of the lower chakras, we can see them from stepping back, right? So the clearness here helps us to not get too wrapped up and involved with the details of the story, but to see the whole picture. The third eye chakra is the place of the visionary, right? It's big sight, clear sight, wide sight. This is the place of the eagle and the condor, those visionaries who can see for miles and miles. So I don't know what deck makes you feel that way. I need to take a sip of water. The visionary. What deck is your visionary? Clear sight, insight. Yeah. So this one is a little bit harder. And this is not connected to an element, right? The Ajna Chakra is all of the elements. And so this is why we are looking at the big picture. Okay. Marielle, William Blake. Well, light isn't an element, right? Light isn't an element. I mean, depending on how you look at the chakras, but in yoga psychology, so if you think of all of the elements, so here we have the rainbow itself, right? So all of the elements together. And then the crown chakra is beyond elements. Yeah. And of course, there's different ways to look at this. What decks did I choose here? There's a few, I believe. Okay. Also, there's a relationship with the third eye chakra with the root chakra that can be brought through in a spread or through insight into the deck. And one of these that comes to mind is dust to onyx. Now, why do I say dust to onyx is a third eye chakra deck? This is a big hitter deck. Big hitter. Part of understanding and working with this deck is to take some time to read the guidebook and to know what the symbols are in the deck and what the whole picture is. There are references to real people throughout the deck, and sometimes multiple real people are brought into the association. So in the court cards, there's always inspiration through, and not just the court cards, like, you know, like Grace, there's a Grace Jones card, and there's different people in this deck that are inspired by real people in this lifetime. There's also an alien kind of experience that is explained early in the guidebook that has to do with the court cards as well too. So this deck is it's very deep and wide, and the reason I'm putting this here is because it also taps into the root in a very powerful way. And if you were aware of the intersection of the root chakra and the third eye chakra, this deck could give you a really, really powerful reading if you were comfortable with the symbols and the associations in this deck. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to go through your comments one by one. Marielle, I'm going to talk about in the crown chakra, and William Blake Tarot. Also, I'm going to say more crown chakra. I would put that at the crown chakra, and I can talk about that again there. And then let's go to Next World Tarot. Seems to look at the big picture in, hello, Loracle, in a lovely way. Next, and so Loracle, this is a really good example of a deck that intersects between root, because there's very much a survival issue in the Next World Tarot, right? It's about survival and big picture. So this is a deck that really connects the worlds of those two chakras. Lovely Om Tarot. Good question, Anna. Lovely Om Tarot by Darshani. Okay, so this is the lovely Om. And I think this depends on your relationship with the deck. I actually listed this one at throat, I believe. For me, this is a throat. Vishuddhi chakra. Lovely Om, Sahasrara, Alice, Bonestone. Yeah, and the reason for this is because I found my voice through these teachings. Does that make sense? I found my voice through these teachings. These teachings became my authenticity. The Ramayana, the Bhagavad Gita became my authenticity. They became my voice. And so that's why this deck lives for me at the throat chakra. Jen says Tarot of the She would fall at the third eye. I believe that's what you're saying. Okay. I would put Ember and Aura at the crown for me. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. I'm glad that makes sense, Anna. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to the third eye. So let's put lovely Om away. Third eye chakra, big picture, visionary, relationship to Muladhara. Margaret Peterson, Thoth, Dust to Onyx. And Margaret Peterson has been for me always a deck that helps me connect to my third eye. And I think it's because just the way that the artwork is drawn, it kind of looks like the things that I see in my third eye. It feels like it supports the purification of the third eye for me as well too. And the way that I just love the way the elements are drawn on this deck, the feathers and so forth. So Margaret Peters is another one that's up here. Okay. So fun to have all these decks out. All right, last chakra. So we're going up to Sahasrara. Sahasrara, such a hard word to say. The first syllable is okay. It's the S-R-A-R-A, Sahasrara. So the crown chakra. The crown chakra. The crown chakra for me is activated most easily when I am doing Reiki. So when I'm practicing Reiki, when I have a client on the table or I'm working with a kid in bed, it's Reiki. So all I have to do is think or feel or internally say Reiki, or I just focus on Reiki and I can feel the buzzing in the top of my head. That's the fastest way for me to get there. And so what is this? What is a deck that is connecting you to the crown chakra? It is a deck that is a portal to the divine. It's like a direct link to the divine. When you are using this deck, you feel like you're talking to God, Goddess, whatever it is, whatever language you want to use, universal consciousness. It is a direct line to source. And one of you mentioned Ember and Aura, and definitely Ember and Aura for me is a direct connection to source. It has love the court cards in this deck. It's not one of the ones that I was going to mention, but I would put that there. And then what do I have on my list? So direct connection. Oh, I was going to say the Marielle. And I'm going to show you one particular card. The other place I would put the I'm trying to, that's so funny. I was on my mouse pad on my computer trying to back off the camera. The other place that I would put the Marielle is at the second chakra, because the Marielle is going to take you into your karmas, your patterns, and so forth. But this deck for me is, well, it's the abyss, right? It's about, it's a link into the abyss. And that is what this deck invites you to do. It invites you to go into the abyss and be there and find your connection to source. And the card, I think one of the most powerful cards for me in this deck is the Nine of Swords, because it directly links to a past life reading that I had, and profoundly, I mean, there's so many gorgeous cards in this deck. For those of you that don't know, I'm doing a Marielle series, and this Nine of Swords is the one that really shifted the energy of this deck for me and transported me to another place and another time. Yeah. Soul cards. I think soul cards fits in here if you're looking for oracles. And I have to mention the oracle decks that are illustrated by Razuli. So there's this one, as well as the Rumi Oracle. And I just feel like the Razuli art is, it just gets you there. It really does. Like, look at that. Kind of just sends you off into the connection with God. But I'm not really focusing on oracles, but I just had to mention that. I do have one more suggestion, I believe. If you are, now this is a little bit tricky. And I think it depends on your perspective and what it means to connect with source. And there's how many of you if you do mediumship, you probably have some tools that help you to cross over that barrier, right? So it might be a crystal, it might be a breath practice, but there's a deck that I recently acquired, and that is, and it's the only one of James's that I have, James Eads, is Cosmovisions. And to me, this deck feels like you're looking behind the veil. Now, those of you that work with the other side and do mediumship, you're aware that what exists here also exists there and exists in all dimensions, right? And all directions of time. And so what I feel like we're looking at in Cosmovisions, I don't have the other one, so I can't speak about the other two, is that we're looking into the abyss. We're looking beyond the veil, right? We're looking behind the pomegranate veil, behind the high priestess. Particularly, there's something about the suit of lotuses that gives me that kind of energy. Okay. Oh, you guys are asking such good questions. Okay, Elizabeth is asking about Star Seeker, this deck. Okay, let's back off here. Star Seeker. I really like this deck. I feel that airiness in this deck. I feel, let me tell you the kind of client I use this deck for. I use this deck when people who are astrologers, people who feel that they have no fear of, I want to say, they trust people that are comfortable with higher powers, people that are comfortable with other experiences, other dimensions. So where would I put this in the chakras? It's a really good question, Elizabeth. It's not a third eye deck. I don't know. It's like maybe crown chakra. Maybe crown chakra. I mean, just look at the colors of the deck. It's very high frequency. Yeah. I'm not even sure that I would use this deck with chakra work. And I think that's a good point, is that every deck in your collection may not necessarily fit into a particular chakra, and it's also going to be kind of personal. Stolen child is not on my table. So this kind of goes into the whole William Blake energy. This is one of another dimension. And so stolen child, I have a couple of ideas here. Tarot decks that deal with mythology, or they come in through literature, could be the throat, because it's through mythology we can, things can be revealed. Mythology also is going to help us with our patterns, and this is this other thing about second and fifth chakra relations. So I think stolen child would be second or fifth chakra. Maybe second chakra. There's also definitely a root chakra issue here, because the fact that the children are stolen, right? The children have been transported to another place and another way of being. So it's a really interesting deck to consider. The Shimmering Veil Tarot, I couldn't afford the deck, but whenever I look at the images, so you're saying that would be a crown chakra deck? I don't have that deck either. The wild unknown archetypes, I would connect them to, well, the archetypes are connected to the ether, and this chakra is the element of ether. So I would probably put them here. We work with the archetypes in the second chakra as well too. So second or fifth chakra. Love this deck, Andrew. I almost shared this one. So this deck for me is root chakra. I feel very much at home in this deck. I would love to be here. While it is fantastical, I explained to you why I feel this way in the Tarot of the Hidden Realm as well too. And so I would put this at the root for me. It's very grounded. It feels very, very earthy, and I feel very safe in this deck. That might not be everybody's experience though. Okay. So Liz is in accord with what I was saying. Spacious tarot. I feel heart, Andrew. I feel heart. Again, that's another deck that's not in hand for me. It's hard for me to say if it's not in hand, because it's yeah. I'm just not sure that the Star Seeker fits into one chakra. That's part of the issue here. Shadowscapes you're asking about? And this is your homework as well too. It's to do a VR. So I'm waiting for your VRs to let me know what you think. So Shadowscapes. Shadowscapes is a watery deck. Just the way that it's painted. It takes us between and among worlds. It is a deck of fantasy. So it can go where any of the water, I would say where the water goes. I think it's gonna tap into second chakra. It's another one that's hard to place. Hello, Evie. Namaste. Welcome. Hello, Swan. Thank you for joining me tonight. So Pagan Otherworlds is a very strong heart chakra deck for you. So and again, this is personal, right? This is part of you working with and understanding the chakra medicine and how you're going to work with that as part of your own unique healing journey. Okay, so for those of you that weren't here earlier, I'm going to expand on these teachings, and in January, I'm going to do an 8-week class. And like all my other classes, I take 11 people maximum. And this course, we're going to do one chakra at a time. I have created a spread for each chakra, and we're going to talk about the chakra in balance, the chakra in excess, and the chakra in deficiency, and what that might look like in terms of the tarot. So we'll talk about suitable decks for each of the chakras, but also what Andrew was saying earlier on, and that is, how do we identify these deficiencies or excesses or balance in the tarot, in any tarot deck? And then how can the power of a spread help to support somebody who's working with a particular issue? Yeah, and then which issues, which physical ailments, which mental ailments, which emotional situations suit which chakras. And then on the 8th week, I will share with you a couple of different ways that I do a full chakra spread. So you'll get at least eight spreads, and lots of it'll be an opportunity to really pick my brain about how I work with the chakras. And this is something that I do every single day. It's my comfort zone. It's the place where I live, where I work, whether I am reading tarot or doing anything else. So yeah, and you can sign up for the course on my website. You go to the shop on my website, and I want to apologize for not taking time to update my website. It needs some. It definitely. I won't do that. It definitely needs some TLC. Yeah, but the shop is up to date, and there's 2 other classes that are starting soon. So yeah. So thanks for joining me for this chat tonight, and I really appreciate your questions and your insight into decks as well too. And like I said, know that there's different ways to look at this, and different decks can work in different chakras. And so I encourage you to look at your library of tarot decks and to do this challenge, and make sure that you use the hashtag tarot through the chakras, and then I will be sure to watch and comment on your video. Okay. We could go on and on and on. Now we're talking about Tarot of the Abyss. Tarot of the Abyss is root. Yes, yeah, and I can see that in other places as well too. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, that might be a good idea. It might be a good idea to just do a separate video on the oracles that speak to this. I did mention a couple of them tonight, Michelle, but I for sure I could do that. I did make a list of oracles for each of the chakras, so I'm happy to do that if you want me to do that. If it feels redundant, I don't need to do that. But yeah, so thanks for being here. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Really appreciate it. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your day or evening. And when will I be back? I will be back on Tuesday. So Tuesday with card comparisons and live readings and tarot foundations. Tuesday's a very busy day for me. I also have a regular reading that I do on Tuesday as well too. So take good care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing your VRs. Namaste.